And we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a Bookish Moment, a celebratory Bookish Moment. I'm Sarah Burr.
And I am J.C. Kenney, and we've got a party going on because we've got a great friend back who is a wonderful person with a brand new book. So, Sarah, let's get bookish.
Yes, we are so excited to have Trixie Silvertale back here with us on a Bookish Moment. We are celebrating Wheels and Dirty Deals, the next book in the Harper and Moon investigations. Trixie, thank you so much for being here on release day. Congratulations on hitting #1 for your cozy mystery release. We can't wait to talk Derby throughout the show. But welcome back to a Bookish Moment.
Thank you. It's so fun to be here. I love hanging out with you guys.
I love just being in Mitzy's world, going back to Pincherry Harbor. The fun that we have in this particular book is off the charts. Folks, I don't know if you can see clearly all the cool stuff that Trixie is repping right now. She has got her roller derby gear on.
Derby stuff.
She's got her skates in the background.
Yep,
so
skates.
you've got your battle armor on. We will hopefully not, you won't get too bruised here talking with us because we're going to be.
No hip checks, I promise.
We'll be singing your praises because as always, you deliver just such a fun, engaging, just like humorous, fabulous mystery. We've got lots of folks in the chat chiming in. We've got Mizan saying hello, DHB saying hello, Mizan wishing you a happy book birthday, Denisha saying hello, Farmhouse Reader saying happy Tuesday, and Sawdust saying cheers, everybody. So thank you guys for being here. Trixie, why don't you go ahead and bring us up to speed? What's happening in Pincherry Harbor? What is Mitzy up to this time around?
Well, I think I might have mentioned last time I was on the program how I have waited my entire cozy mystery writing career to shoehorn roller derby into a book. And I figured if anybody's going to do it, it's got to be Mitzy. So this last one, I found a reason for her to have to go undercover in roller derby, and I was so fired up about that. So that's very exciting. And having her, solve this mystery that's got a little bit of an international flair to it, and they are traveling into Canada, and it's got drugs and trafficking and, all kinds of really sketchy subjects, but handled in the cozy mystery Mitzy way. So that was super fun. I just really had a blast writing it, honestly.
I love that cozy mystery Mitzy way.
Yes. And Trixie, I've got to ask, or more of a clarification. Your roller derby garb that you've got there, that's just not cosplay. You're the real thing, right?
That is correct. I played for 2 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And got severely bruised and you're lucky not to break anything, but I did have my arm skated over at one point, which is not fun, and definitely took a lot of hits for sure.
I know what roller derby is because I've been fortunate enough to watch some fabulous TV shows and movies that feature roller derby. But I'm actually surprised that there are folks that aren't familiar with it and really don't know what it is. So maybe for those who are the uninitiated, would you kind of explain what roller derby is?
Yeah. So back in the 70s, it started kind of as almost like a World Wrestling Federation kind of thing, where it was very rehearsed and fake, and it was a bank track. So you had a big circle bank track, and it was all about fighting and, that sort of thing. So it was more of a spectacle. And then it kind of died out of fashion for a while. Then it came back starting in Austin, Texas, as an actual sport with rules and penalties and referees and, like a plan. And it had bank track, which is that large oval bank track that a lot of people who know it from before were
Mm-hmm.
familiar with, but then also flat track, which is what I played. So you can, anywhere you have a piece of cement or, you know, a basketball court or whatever, you could tape out your circle and skate. And you have 6 skaters on each team, and you have a jammer who's the one who makes the points, and then you have blockers who try to keep the other team's jammer from making those points. So it's basically just 2 minutes for 90 minutes, 2-minute rounds for 90 minutes for an entire bout.
Oh,
And
wow.
with the most points wins. So
That's intense.
it's endurance, and it's rough. I mean, there are there are certain things you can't do. There are illegal moves now, but you can still hip check the crap out of people, and it is painful to go down at a high speed on roller skates and go careening across, the cement court. So
oh man,
yeah, it's kind of rough.
And so, which kind of begs the question. It's a contact sport. Indianapolis, I'm proud to say, has a thriving roller derby community, and
Nice.
so I'm vaguely familiar with it, and I'm so excited to talk about how it fits into the book. What brings Mitzy into the roller derby world there in northern Minnesota?
Yeah. So the murder in this book takes place behind the gymnasium right after an exhibition bout. So the only people who were around at the time, according to eyewitnesses and the timeline, were the derby gals who were cleaning up the sport court track and packing it away and, whatever. So they are very, and this is true, very tight knit, very supportive, very inside kind of group. Don't really welcome outsiders, don't really spill the tea about other skaters. It's a very cohesive unit. And so in order to get information and find out if they were really responsible, Mitzy has to go in and try to skate for the team. And when you go and you try out, you're called fresh meat. So, so she shows up with her gear as fresh meat, and she has an enchanted helmet from Silas because Mitzy is very clumsy, and there's Eric has little hope that she'll be able to pull this off. So she has an enchanted helmet from Silas, and she pulls it off, and she makes the team, and then she's able to use her powers and weasel her way in and get information from the gals on the team.
I need one of those enchanted helmets because I remember trying to ice skate when I was younger, and just like the pain of wiping out, and I'm like scooting across the ice at like negative 5 miles an hour. I can't imagine the pain that you go through when you're moving at a high speed, colliding into other people. Like, what made you, Trixie, want to be in a roller derby when you were a part of it for those 2 years? Like, what was your, what brought you there?
Well, I grew up ice skating, and always wanted to be a speed skater, never got to do that, and loved roller skating, skated my whole life. And I was just kind of looking for something to do. And I tried roller hockey. And there's so much gear. I mean, just so much gear. You can hardly move. You feel like the Michelin tire guy, out there. And it's 90% guys. There was like one other girl who played, and it just, that wasn't the vibe. But there was a roller derby team that practiced right after. And so I was like, well, that looks kind of fun. And plus, look at the cool clothes. They have these cool, skirts. They have cool leggings. They have fun knee socks. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of all about that. So I had to go do the whole fresh meat thing. I was quite fortunate in that I live in a smaller area, so there's not a lot of people. So if you try out, you're kind of on the team. So it was an easy in. But that camaraderie was really awesome. It just came kind of at a time where my kids were, leaving. So I was kind of having that empty nest, not really knowing what I'm going to do, and just being able to vibe with a group of women and just have kind of that, get the aggression out, and it's okay. It was really fun. I loved it.
That's awesome. And do they have like nicknames in roller derby? Like, did you have like a skater name?
Yeah, you actually have to register your name. You have to, because of the liability. Obviously, it's very dangerous. You have to sign waivers. You have to register all of that. So I stole my name for the book. So I was Tipsy Kitty. Like, yeah, and so in the book I have that be the backstory for Grams, that she was Tipsy Kitty. Then Silas uses that helmet and enchants it, and then Mitzi gets to be Tipsy Kitty 2 TOO. So I kind of tied it in like that.
If you feel comfortable sharing how you became Tipsy Kitty, I would love to know, like, what's the process for like selecting your roller derby name? Is it like the street you grew up on and like the last thing you ate, or like what's the secret?
I skated for almost a month before I picked a name, and I was kind of looking at the other gals on the team, what their names were, and some of them had an alcohol vibe and some of them had an animal vibe, and and I was trying to fit something in there, and I'm a big fan of vodka martini, and I'm like, and in the beginning you fall down all the time, so I'm like tipsy, kind of a double meaning. I like that, Kitty. So then I just went with that. Have a little cat on my gear bag.
Love it. So cool. We've got a farmhouse reader saying in the chat that we love watching the roller derby in the 70s as kids on TV. So I'm curious if any of our viewers, number one, have just like tried roller skating in general, and whether or not you've been to a roller derby or participated in one. Very, very curious. Or what would your roller derby name be? I would have so much fun trying to figure that out. Oh gosh. So, and what about this particular, because you had mentioned like you've been waiting your whole writing career to like have a roller derby book. What made it the right time for Mitzy and Eric to kind of immerse themselves in this world?
Well, to be fair, I felt like I had done so many other things with her. They've done rodeo stuff, and she's gone undercover bartending, and they've done they've traveled, and they've gone out of state. I just all the different things that I've tried with them. Yeah, and I was just like, I think it's time. I just think it's going to fit for this. And then once I kind of decided how the murder was going to take place and who would be responsible and what would be the backstory and the reasoning, I was like, oh, this could fit. This will totally work. So, yeah.
Fabulous. We got Denisha saying, I used to roller skate as a child, but it's never been to a roller derby. I very much remember like my first pair of roller skates. They were like the Fisher-Price roller skates that I don't think they're just like home videos of me just walking with them, because I don't think the wheels even appropriately rolled in them. And so I wouldn't say that I'm proficient at it. Farmhouse reader saying I skated once in my life as a teen and I wasn't any good. So it seems like we're both in the same boat. So that's, oh my gosh.
That's great.
So what was it like coming up with the personalities that Mitzy interacts with on her derby team? Because, I just feel that like there's so much personality in that space. Like, how did those characters kind of come to life for you? Were they people, reincarnations of people that you had skated with before, or just like, I need somebody to fit X, Y, and Z for this mystery to kind of move forward?
Yeah, a kind of a combination. So definitely took from people that I were, skated with and also against. We had some crazy opponents. So that played into it for sure. And then also needing certain factors to exist in the character to make it work with the story, kind of had to blend some things together. But it was all... there's always a bit of reality in everything I write. There's just so much, just this huge well of information to keep pulling out of. There's always something in there.
Well, and that actually tees up my question for you, Trixie, because this is number 6 in the in the Harper and Moon series.
Uh-huh.
And Mitzy by herself, you've got what, like 24 of those or so. I'm not a math guy. How do you keep it fresh? Because that's a lot of, because I've found myself, and Sarah and I have talked about this in the past, that if I get to about 6 books with a set of characters, I'm kind of running out of ideas.
Yeah.
How do you keep that well pumped?
Well, for me, I made a promise to myself when I started that I would never have her work on the same kind of case twice. So if I can't think of a different way to kill someone or whatever, then I don't want to write that. I'll write something else. So as long as I can come up with different stuff. I read a lot, I travel a lot, I watch a lot of television and movies, and I'm just kind of always putting stuff in so that that's all cooking in there, and there's all plenty to pull from. But I think the truth is stranger than fiction. It is a fact. There are so many bizarre things that happen on the real police blotter, that you just, how would you ever run out? It shocked me sometimes. I'm just like, wow.
I wholeheartedly agree. And like, my true crime exploration that I do, the things that I've heard, it's like, I can't believe that this is real life. Before I have a question for you, Trixie, we've got a couple more folks about rollerblading. DHB says I rollerbladed around Bahrain, but the locals were not impressed. So we've got an international rollerblader here.
Nice.
And Denisha says, I just started reading cozy mystery books a couple of weeks ago and fell in love with them. So Denisha, welcome to a fabulous, fabulous genre. We love our cozy mysteries.
Yeah, you're gonna love it.
So JC, you mentioned this. Trixie, you've also alluded to this as well. There's this concept of things needing to fit certain parameters that we as writers have to approach. But we also need to find ways to keep it fresh. What do you think, Trixie, from I know that this is a fictional question, but from a murder point of view, how do you construct your murder plots? Is it the central focus for you at the start of a project, or is it something that kind of falls in line based on what else is happening in the world of Pincherry Harbor? Because I've always been I have my murder first and I build out from there. But I'm starting to kind of toy around with like, maybe the murder comes to me at some point and I don't know what I'm doing going in. So I'm just curious, like, how do you craft that murdery part of your cozy mystery books?
Okay. So for me, I always start with the title first.
Mm-hmm.
So once I have the title, then I have to kind of think about why would Mitzy care?
Mm-hmm.
Why would she be involved? And so then I have to think about who else in Pincherry is going to be affected. What's gonna draw her in? And then I figure out what happened.
Mm-hmm.
In the Mitzy Moon series, not every book is a murder. So sometimes there's a kidnapping, sometimes, whatever, there's different things. In the Harper Moon, every book is a murder so far. But I do always kind of have that title and then what pulls her in, and then figure out what happened. What's the crime that, that she's got to, what's the mystery she's got to solve? And, like in the Harper and Moon stuff, it's always murder. But it kind of goes like that for me, I guess.
That's such a cool way to approach it. And speaking of titles, we've got Denisha saying, I love fries and alibis. I mean, your titles, I literally cannot say them without just shimmying or just like some type of like physical reaction to it, because there's just so much like pizzazz and I don't know, there's something special about them. So like when you are creating your titles, like because you don't know what the murder mystery is at that point in time, how are you coming up with the words that you're using? Or it's your process is it's so different than what I do. And I'm like, I need to know, because the titles are so fun. And the fact that they link so intrinsically back to what's going on in the story is, I think, really, really genius.
Yeah, thank you. When I first started the Mitzy Moon series, I was brainstorming titles, pages and pages, and so, until I kind of found something. I'm like, oh, I like that. That could work. And so once I got into that idea that they would rhyme, then I just started making lists of, everything that I could think of. And then I alphabetized it. And, so basically I go to that list and I try to find something that catches my eye, and I think, okay, it's kind of going to be this time of year in Pencherry. Is the title going to have anything to do with the season? Is the murder going to be affected by the, because I've had stuff happen on snowmobiles and ice fishing and broom ball, all kinds of different things. So I kind of go through that process, and then I find the titles, and then I usually send 4 or 5 of them to my my alpha readers and get feedback from them. And then once I narrow it down to the title, then I start to go with, okay, that's what's happening, Wheels and Dirty Deals. What kind of wheels? Are they stealing cars? Are they doing, and it's just like roller derby.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And, if I can ask, I see behind you, you appear to have a copy of Wheels and Dirty Deals, and which I just love to get a little bit of info about your covers. Do you use yourself, or who does them? Because they're amazing.
Thank you. Melanie at Paradise Cover Design has done all of the Harper and Moon investigation series. So she is really good with kind of a little bit of that photorealistic twist, which is the Mitzy Moon covers were more of the illustration, which I love. But when I went this way, and it was going to be with Eric and Mitzy kind of having equal footing in Harper and Moon Mysteries or investigations, I couldn't get a good illustration of Eric. I went through 5 illustrators, and I was like, ugh. So I was like, okay, Pyewacket, you gotta handle this for us. And I didn't want to do the illustration thing again. And so I looked at, some covers of some authors that I've worked with. I think both of the authors I've worked, the Renaissance Fair mysteries, they had both used Melanie. And we actually used her for the Renaissance Fair magical mystery covers. And so I thought, well, I love what she's doing with the photorealistic thing. And so I gave her some of the illustrations of the Caracal and some photos, and she threw some things back at me, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's what I want. Because I kind of wanted to keep that dark library feel from the Mitzy Moon thing, but switched it up a little. So that's where we ended up.
I love it when you have that moment of like, yes, this is what I've been searching for. Because sometimes it's hard to articulate, like, what is going on in here? How can I make it into a cohesive illustration? And, sometimes somebody just gets it. So it's always like so kismet when that happens. And our time is always flies by when we're together, Trixie. So I have to ask, because we've talked a lot about how awesome roller derby is and how Mitzy gets involved this time around with the roller derby aspect. But I feel like there's a lot more of the, paranormal that I would like to discuss, because that's a big part of who Mitzy is. She's dealing with this really cool relic. You want to share a little bit about what this relic is, and kind of what the questions that Mitzy is facing right now, because those are some pretty serious questions that she is searching for in kind of the paranormal aspect of her life.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know her backstory, she lost her mother when she was 11, and was in foster care. Didn't think she had a family. Never met her father. And then this strange man shows up at her apartment in Arizona, and he's got this envelope full of all of these things that reveal a family and a life, and a possible home and inheritance, all these things. And that is what takes her north to almost Canada. And through meeting Pyewacket and her grandmother's ghost, and inheriting this special ring from her grandmother kind of triggers her psychic abilities. And so she's learning each book, some new things are happening. And Silas, who is a lawyer, but also secretly an alchemist, is her mentor, kind of helping her figure out how these different things work. And also giving these little alchemical workings to, different objects to help her along the way. And one of the things that happens with her, she will have premonitions sometimes, or she'll have a clairvoyant moment or a clairaudient message or something. And in this particular book, she has what she thinks is maybe a dream or a vision, but when she describes it to Silas, it's like the ghost of her mother visited her and told her about this relic that could bring her mother back from the dead. And so that is weighing on her mind the whole time she's trying to, solve this murder and find out who killed this young college kid, and, get into the roller derby and get information, and at the same time struggling with this idea of, is that the right thing to do to bring her back? Was that what she meant, kind of a thing. So she's having a little bit of a psychic existential crisis.
I'd say so.
Amidst the roller derby.
It must be so cool coming up with these elements to the paranormal, because you really are like, yes, cozy mysteries. The thing that, we love about cozies is that they are rooted in the real world, so that, we could think that, yes, if there was a injustice happening, that I myself would try to, solve this case to clear my friend's name. But then there's the level when you work in the paranormal, that you get to make the rules, and you get to figure out how would I want, magic or, whatever the force is, how would I want it to work? Do you, I guess, how do you approach that? What are your world building elements, or maybe just even things that you like about the magic that you're using that, makes it really fun and fresh for you?
Well, Silas would say alchemy. Not magic. So he's very magic averse. He is very specifically makes that differentiation between magic. And there have been, there's been a sorcerer and, a witch and, different characters who do use magic, but they specifically stick with alchemy. And so what he teaches Mitzy is these different alchemical workings that she can use for different things. And for me, I always try to go back and I look at really ancient text material and look at some of the things that philosophers and that sort of thing believed in and believed could work and could happen, to create a basis for something that Silas will do or create for Mitzy. So I I always try to weave in that bit of the real world, so that there is that feeling like maybe that could happen, So I don't know.
Oh, I love it. If somebody
I tell you.
If somebody wanted to look more into ancient alchemy, where would you direct them? What books would you suggest or what research materials should folks kind of look into?
Oh my gosh. They're all in Latin and German. And I have a whole list. I don't remember them. Email me if you really want to know. But Catechismus Triumphatus, one of the books that we always talk about in her library, that's a good place to start.
Gotcha.
But, yeah,
that's so cool. So
yeah, that's real research. Here I'm just doing my contemporary cozies, or I'm just making stuff up as I go because it's happening here and now. That's real work for you. So good on you.
Thank you. Yes, it does prove to be a very effective way of procrastinating sometimes.
All in the name of cozy. That's what I think. That's what it all boils down to, Trixie. And in the final moments that we have together today, any chance, do you have any online, in-person events coming up, or where can folks stay connected with you to hear what's next for Mitzy and Eric?
Well, probably the best thing to do is either sign up for my newsletter or follow me on Amazon. My website is Trixie Silvertale, TALE.com. And you know, you can follow Trixie Silvertale on Amazon. That way you won't miss out on, you know, new release information or that sort of thing. And I do have a big giveaway going on right now on the Facebook page, Cozy Town Sleuth. We have a huge mystery box, all kinds of cool stuff in there. And you can go over and get involved in that group and, you know, sign up and enter the giveaway for that as well.
Fabulous. And I know that Wheels and Dirty Deals just came out today. However,
it did actually.
Do we have what's next? Is this the end? Because there's a pretty big development at the end of the book. So I hope we find out soon what's going on.
Yes, I know. I don't want to spoil that for anyone, but it is kind of an exciting development. And the next book will be coming out, I think it's the end of September, book 7, Scripts and Empty Crypts. So spoiler alert, that memoir that Grams has been writing, which is really Mitzy's life story, she sold the film rights and all hell breaks loose in the bookshop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope that you'll come back and chat with us when it's out, because as always, I love picking your brain about what goes on while you're roller skating around dictating these manuscripts. To this day, I tried dictation last week because I was like, Trixie's coming on. Like, I want to try dictation. And it was such a hot mess because I was trying to get it to stop, but it just kept recording and it's just like, stop. It just filled with my panic. And so it was quite, I need to go take a class on it, because it's such an interesting way to like speak what your story is. And it's so cool.
I really like it. Yeah, it was hard to make the switch, but man, once I did, I was like, oh wow, I'm never going back to sitting in front of my computer. This is too great.
And for our folks, our viewers who may not know this about Trixie, she roller skates and dictates her manuscripts while she's roller skating.
There are the skates right there.
Yeah. So like the things that are going on while she's creating these stories is just it's amazing. So Wheels and Dirty Deals is out today. Go pick it up on Amazon. You will have such fun with Mitzy's adventure into the wild world of roller derby. Trixie, thank you so much for being here. It's always so much fun talking with you and hearing about your amazing process and your fabulous characters. Thank you for being here with us today.
You bet.
And for our folks who joined us live, we always appreciate your comments. Thank you very, very much. We are back with an episode of the Bookish Hour on this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Our guest is mystery author Winter Austin, who is a publishing friend of JC's. So we'll get to pick her brain about all the cool mysteries that are out there. And for folks who are joining us after the fact, let us know your experiences with roller derby or roller skating, because there's a lot there. It's such a cool sport. And we've got a quick comment from Denisha for you, Trixie, saying, I'm definitely going to read more of your books. So wonderful. Yay. That's always, we love to hear it, Denisha. Thank you. Yes, and thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Until we see you again, stay bookish. Bye, everyone. Bye.